Now let's create some trigonometric equations. Let's begin by setting up the axis properly. We'll click on the axis icon, and then we're going to set up the axis values properly by making sure that the x-axis is labeled in radians. So we'll do that by clicking radians, and you can see that right away it changes to a low of -2 pi and a high of 2 pi. In the y-axis, that's probably a little bit higher and lower than we need, so we'll narrow the range here. And click on OK. Here we go. Okay, now we have y maxing out at 2, and at the bottom -2, and our x-axis is a high of 2 pi, and at the low end -2 pi. So next, let's create a sine wave on the screen. We're going to click Equations. Now, if you hover over this box that appears, you'll see that we have turned our help on again, and what is showing is the shortcuts for various things that we would want to type in this box. So we'd like to type y equals sine x. So all we have to do is type y equals s, and it creates the sine x for us. Let's click on OK, plot the equations, and there we have our sine wave. Let's label that equation by hovering over the wave, right-clicking, clicking on Make an Equation Label, and clicking the checkbox. We can change the slight location of that label by simply moving that label a little bit so it's not intersecting with our graph, and that looks good. Next, let's label the maximum and minimum points. Again, we hover over the sine wave, right-click, and then we click on Points of Interest, Max and Min, and the program has now identified where our max and min points are. Now, we've got a little bit of those intersecting with the sine wave as well as going off the side of the screen. So let's play around with the position of where that is appearing. And we're going to do that by clicking on Points and Labels, clicking on the label that we want to change the location of, and then clicking up or down or right or left to get it into the right location. We'll do that with a few of these labels. Okay, that looks good. We'll check that away. And now let's plot y equals tan x. So we'll go back up to Equations, click in the box. Again, if we hover over the equation field, you can see the short forms. So we can see that a small t is going to represent tan x for radians. There it is. So we click OK and plot the equations. And there we have y equals tan x now appearing on the screen. Let's adjust that slightly by clicking on Equations. Let's edit that so it's y equals tan bracket x minus pi over 4. To have that pi symbol appear on the screen, our shortcut is p. So if you just type in p over 4, you'll have pi over 4 appear. And then we'll click OK. And there we have it. Now let's make an equation label for that one. We're going to right-click over the wave, click Make an Equation Label, and there's our label. Oh, it's overlapping a little bit with some other coordinates there. Let's just shift the location. There we go. Okay, now next thing we'd like to do is obtain the points of intersection between y equals tan x minus pi over 4 and y equals sine x. So we're going to find one of those areas of intersection. You can see that when we've hovered over one of those intersection points, that both of those formulas appear at the bottom of the screen. So we can right click in that area, select points of intersection, and we have our points of intersection appearing on the screen. Now, as you know, there are infinite points of intersection, so all we see being graphed out here and in our list of points and labels is the ones that are actually appearing on the screen right now. You can see the 4 that appear on the screen are listed there, and if we'd like, we can change the location of some of them. But they're not too bad, so let's leave them how they are. Let's save this as sample number 4. And we're done.